they did not see you coming. And that is the most precise description of what happened. Not that they were not looking, not that you were not visible, but that what they saw when they looked did not match the category they had ready for it. The first look produced an impression. The second look, the involuntary one, the one that happened before any conscious decision to look again had been made, produced something entirely different. The specific, slightly disorienting experience of realizing that what you were seeing the first time was not the full picture, that the full picture was considerably more interesting than the impression you formed from the first angle. The tomboyish energy the title of this reading names is not incidental. It is the specific thing that produced the double take, not because it is unusual in the abstract, but because it was not what they were prepared for from you, because you carry other qualities simultaneously, the depth, the precision, the specific warmth, and the quiet intelligence that anyone paying genuine attention has access to, and the combination of those qualities with the ease and the groundedness and the specific lack of performed femininity that the tomboyish energy describes produced something in this person's perception that did not fit neatly into any category they had ready. And the not fitting is what made them look again. Let me describe what I felt the moment this energy opened, because the impressions were vivid and specific, and I want to share them before we go anywhere near the cards. I felt the specific quality of surprise as a pleasant experience, not the jarring, destabilizing surprise of something unwelcome. The specific, slightly delightful surprise of someone who has just discovered that what they thought they were looking at is actually something considerably more interesting than it first appeared. The specific quality of someone who has been presented with information that updates their model of a situation in a direction they did not expect, and who is discovering that the direction is, on the whole, rather good. I also felt something I want to name carefully because I think it is the more important impression. I felt attraction that has been recalibrated. The specific quality of someone whose original orientation toward you was one thing, and who has just had the experience of that orientation being revised upward and sideways simultaneously. Upward in the sense of a more significant quality of interest, sideways in the sense of a genuinely different angle of understanding, a seeing from a new direction quality that has reorganized the picture in a way that reveals things that were not visible from the prior angle. The first card in this reading arrived in the position representing who you are in this dynamic, the specific quality of your energy that produced the double take, and I want to describe it with the specificity it deserves. This card shows a figure at the pinnacle of the element that governs the practical and material world, at the fullest expression of the earth element's most grounded, most established, most genuinely real form. The specific quality of someone who has arrived at something through actual, sustained engagement with the actual world rather than through performance or presentation or the careful management of impressions. This is the energy of someone who is real, completely, without the specific kind of effort that artificiality requires. What I am reading in this card about your energy is something I want to name precisely. The tomboyish quality, the ease in your own body, the comfort in physical space, the lack of the kind of performed presentation that many people mistake for femininity, the specific quality of someone who simply occupies who they are without needing to arrange it for an audience is an expression of this card's energy, not a deviation from something you should be. The specific, complete, fully inhabited version of exactly who you are. I also want to speak to what the earth element of this card tells me about the specific quality of your energy that produced the second look. The earth element is the element of what is genuinely real rather than what is presented as real. And in a landscape where a great deal of what people present is managed for effect, encountering someone who simply is what they are without apparent effort or performance produces a specific quality of recognition. The specific quality of something registering as real in a context where most things are performing. That is what happened in this person's perception when they looked the second time. The specific quality of genuine landed on them, and they had to look again to make sense of what they were experiencing. The second card arrived in the position representing what happened in this person's interior in the moment of the double take, the specific quality of what the second look produced in them. And I want to describe this carefully because I think it illuminates something important. This card shows the imagery of a new beginning in the suit that governs genuine feeling, the Ace of Cups, the single cup held aloft with the quality of something pure and complete and entirely undiluted being offered. This is the card of genuine, fresh, from the beginning emotional response of something arriving in a person's experience that is real and immediate rather than constructed or managed into existence. What I am reading in this card about what happened in their interior is something I want to name specifically. The second look opened something. Not a conclusion, not yet a decision, not the fully formed quality of an established feeling. The specific, fresh, slightly surprising quality of something beginning that they were not expecting to begin. The double take was not simply a visual correction. It was the specific moment when the genuine quality of what you are arrived at a level of their interior that produced an actual, real response. Not a thought about you, a feeling about you. The distinction matters enormously because thoughts can be managed and redirected and organized. Feelings in this card's form simply arrive. I also want to speak to the cup's quality of offering in this card because I think it tells me something about the direction of what opened. The cup is not turned away or held privately. It is held outward. The feeling that this second look opened in them has an orientation. It is pointing toward you. That orientation is not yet action, but it is the specific, genuine, cannot be manufactured quality of actual interest that belongs to something real rather than something performed. Does this feel like it is landing on something real, Virgo? The specific sense of someone who encountered you and who had to look again because what they found when they looked did not match what they expected to find? Let me know in the comments. The third card arrived in the position representing what they are specifically fascinated by, what the double take revealed that has been occupying their attention since. And I want to describe this with the precision it deserves. This card shows a figure moving with complete, unhesitating confidence in a specific direction, the quality of someone who is clear about where they are going and who is simply going without the weight of deliberation or the management of performance. The fire element and the court position at its early, most direct expression speak to the specific quality of energy that is genuine and forward-moving and completely unmanaged. What I am reading in this card about what they are fascinated by is something I want to name directly. They are fascinated by the authenticity of your movement through the world, not the tomboyish aesthetic specifically, though that is part of what caught their attention. The specific quality of someone who moves through the world in their own way rather than in the way that seems most likely to produce particular impressions in particular people. The ease, the groundedness, the specific quality of someone who has no performance available because they are simply being who they are with the full quality of their attention on where they are going rather than on how they are appearing to the people around them. I also want to speak to the fire element of this card and what it tells me about the specific nature of the fascination. Fire is drawn to genuine things. The fire element, when it encounters something that is performing rather than simply being, tends to register the performance as a form of resistance or obstruction. When it encounters something that is simply, genuinely, completely itself, the response is the specific, attracted quality of recognition, something finding its corresponding quality. The fascination this person is experiencing has that specific texture, the quality of fire that has encountered something real and is drawn to it. I want to name something else about the specific quality of what is fascinating them, because I think it adds a dimension that is worth holding. What they are finding themselves circling back to is not a single quality or a single moment. It is the combination, the specific way, the tomboyish ease, and the genuine depth and the quiet precision all exist in the same person simultaneously. Each quality on its own is not uncommon. The combination, and particularly the ease with which the combination is inhabited, with no apparent tension between the parts, no management of how the different aspects fit together, simply a person who contains all of it without effort, is what is producing the specific quality of we need to look. Again, that the reading is describing you are more than any individual quality. It is the coherence of you, the specific way everything you are fits together without seams, that is doing the work. Inhale with me, Virgo. Because the fourth card carries something I want you to receive about the specific quality of what your energy is doing in this person's experience. This card shows the figure of genuine, quiet strength, someone in the presence of something powerful who is not frightened by it, who is not performing strength or asserting it or needing it to be validated by the environment, simply present with it in the specific quality of someone who has their own grounded center and who is simply being that center without needing it to be anything other than what it is. And this card in this position is describing you in relation to this person's experience of you. What I am sensing in this card is something I want to name with warmth and with precision simultaneously. Your tomboyish energy is a form of strength, not the performed, assertive, needing to be seen kind. The quiet, settled, simply present kind that is considerably rarer and considerably more genuinely compelling to people who have the perception to recognize it. The double take was the person discovering that what they were looking at was this kind of strength rather than the more ordinary version of it. And the discovery of genuine, quiet, unperformed strength in someone tends to produce exactly the quality of recalibration this reading is describing. I also want to speak to something about what this kind of strength communicates in the specific context of attraction and romantic interest. There is a specific quality that the earth element, grounded, tomboyish, simply being who I am kind of energy communicates that is different from and in some ways more compelling than the more deliberately curated versions of attractiveness. It communicates security, not the security of having figured everything out or of having achieved a particular external status. The security of someone who has arrived at a sufficient relationship with their own identity that they are simply in it without constant reference to how it is being received. That quality of security, when genuinely encountered rather than performed, tends to produce a specific quality of drawn-to-ness in people who are attracted to the genuine rather than to the curated. I want to address something about the specific experience of the double take, what it actually means and what it does not mean, because I think receiving it with full clarity is more useful than receiving it with either too much or too little significance assigned to it. The double take means they were caught off guard by you in a specific and genuine way. It means that the category they had ready for you turned out to be insufficient for what you actually are. It means that what they encountered when they looked again produced an actual involuntary response that they did not engineer or choose. All of those things are real and they are meaningful. What it does not mean on its own is that they have arrived at any particular conclusion or that any particular action is imminent. What it means is that something has begun. The cup of the second card is fresh, which means the beginning is genuine rather than manufactured, but it is also the beginning rather than the established middle or the arrived at end. The feeling that opened is real. What it becomes is going to be determined by what happens in the space between that opening and whatever comes next. What you have access to, which is not nothing, is the knowledge that what opened in them was genuine and was produced by the actual, real, unmanaged quality of who you actually are. The authentic version of you is the thing that caught their attention. The authentic version of you is what produced the double take, which means nothing about who you are needs to change in order to hold or develop what has been opened. You simply need to continue being exactly what you already are. I also want to name something about the quality of this particular beginning compared to the more ordinary kind, because I think the distinction matters for how you hold it. The feelings and attractions that begin through the ordinary process of someone being drawn to a deliberately presented version of another person have a specific quality of contingency about them. They began because of the presentation, and they are, in some sense, dependent on the presentation continuing. The feeling that begins when someone is caught off guard by the genuine, unmanaged version of another person has a different quality. It began without the presentation, which means it is not dependent on the presentation. It is contingent on the real thing. And the real thing, by definition, is simply what you already are and will continue being. This kind of beginning is more durable precisely because it was not manufactured. The fifth card arrived in the position of what this is building toward, where the double take and the fresh opening of genuine feeling is pointing in terms of actual material what happens next events between you and this person. And I want to describe it with the warmth it carries. This card shows a figure at the threshold of something significant, fully equipped and oriented toward what is ahead, in the quality of someone who has made an internal decision and who is now at the specific point where the internal becomes external. The fire element in this suit speaks to the willingness to act on what is genuine, to translate what is felt into what is done, to stop standing at the edge and simply go. What I am sensing in this card about what is coming is something I want to say directly. This person is going to approach you, not immediately, not without the period of internal processing that the fascination and the recalibration naturally require, but the direction of what the double take opened is toward you. The beginning that the Ace of Cups card describes is oriented in your direction. And the fire energy of this final card is the specific quality of something that has completed its internal phase and that is now beginning to translate into external movement. When they approach, pay attention to how they do it. The fire element tends to approach with a specific quality of directness that is proportionate to the genuine quality of what has been opened, not the carefully calibrated, impression managed, let me test the waters approach of someone who is primarily protecting themselves. The more immediate, this is what I feel and I am showing it approach of someone who has arrived at the specific point where the feeling is more present than the protective instinct. That quality of directness, when it comes, is going to feel different from ordinary social interaction. Let it land when it does. Before I close, I want to say something about the tomboyish energy and what it actually is and is not, because I think it deserves specific acknowledgement rather than being treated as simply a description of an aesthetic. The tomboyish energy is a specific expression of authenticity. It is what authentic looks like in you, specifically. The comfort in physical space, the ease with your own body, the lack of performed femininity, the specific quality of simply occupying who you are without arranging it for an audience. All of that is not a departure from some more complete version of yourself that you could or should be presenting. It is the complete version. It is simply who you are when you are not managing anything. And what this reading is confirming is that the complete version, the simply who I am version, the no performance available version of you, is the version that has produced this particular genuine, involuntary, I had to look again response in this person. You did not do anything to produce this. You simply were what you are. And being what you are completely and without management turned out to be more than sufficient to open something real in someone who was looking. The double take is just the beginning. I want to say something specific about what the tomboyish energy communicates that I think goes unacknowledged in how most people understand it. There is a quality of realness that accompanies the willingness to be in your own body in your own way without performing it for an audience. It communicates that you are in relationship with yourself rather than in relationship with the management of your presentation. And people who have enough genuine attentiveness to register that distinction, which is not everyone, but is a specific kind of person who tends to be worth being seen by, find it considerably more compelling than the most polished presentation imaginable, because what they are encountering is not a presentation at all. It is the actual person, unmediated, and that is extraordinarily rare, which is why it produces the double take rather than the single look, and why it produces something real rather than something merely interesting. If this reading landed on something real, if there is a specific person in your life whose reaction to you has had the quality of a genuine recalibration, a looking again because what they saw the first time was not the full picture quality, please share it with a Virgo who might be experiencing the same thing and who needs to hear that what produced the double take was simply and completely themselves. And leave a comment. I want to hear who this brought to mind and what the quality of their response to you has been. I read every single comment, and I hold what is shared in this space with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, they did not see you coming. The first look produced an impression. The second look produced something considerably more real, that something is now doing its own work in them. Continue being exactly what you are. The work is already underway, and the direction of it is towards you.